As we've got 2 more days till the end of the course, and I just wanted to solidify a few things. All right, for the research sources, a lot of you had questions as to, at the beginning of the course, about a research paper. And of course, there is no research paper. The final project was research sources. A lot of times when you do a research paper, what you do is you have a bibliography or a works cited page or reference page at the end of the paper, which are your sources that helped support the ideas that were in your paper. Well, that was your final project. And that's what sociology is about. It's the research that you gather for your paper. We often leave that to the last when we're doing a paper, but it's actually the most important. And so if you saw from your feedback, I wanted you to find sources that were research-based, that were peer-reviewed, that were journal articles, and not necessarily something that you would have Googled. Let me give you an example. Say I asked you, why is the sky blue? And you might answer, look at it. You and I can tell that it's blue, or my mom said it was blue. But what if we asked the scientist why the sky was blue? She might give us some convoluted answer as to why the sky was blue that neither you or I could understand, but at least then we would have some answer that came from studies, intricate studies, that gave us more indication or gave us more of a reason why the sky was blue. We don't necessarily have to believe it, but it's research based. And that's the point of your sources of that assignment. Remember, for your annotated bibliography, one thing I want you to know from your annotated bibliography when you do your summaries is to stay objective. Objectivity means being non-biased, being non-judgmental, not giving any value judgments. That is, don't use words such as good or bad or should in your summaries. You want to stay as neutral as possible. That was important for your sources, and it's important for your summaries as well. Make sure also that your sources continue to be APA formatted, that you conform to APA format when you get ready to do those annotated bibliographies too. And speaking of conformity, I want to talk to you a little bit about Blog 2 and External Link 2, about conformity and deviance. Conformity and deviance are two really important concepts in sociology because of the nature of it. It deals about culture and conforming to the norms of culture. And we know when we're conforming to the norms of our culture because when people agree with us, they might compliment us. They'll say, hey, that's a nice dress, or, oh, I like your shoes. But if we don't conform, that is, if we're being deviant or going against the cultural norms, the least sanctions, somebody might pull us to the side and say what we're doing wrong, or they might not want to be our friend. And then if it gets a little bit worse, we might be put in jail for being deviant. And worst of the worst is we might be killed because of our deviance. Two examples of people who were deviant for their time, but weren't necessarily breaking laws, but who were definitely deviants, were Jesus Christ and Martin Luther King Jr. They were ultimately killed for their deviant behavior. That is, they were going against what society thought was the norm back in that day. So usually when we're doing something deviant, or we believe in something deviant, or we have a trait that is deviant, we often try to mask it or keep it to ourselves, or we get in line, or we get with other people who are deviant as well. And keep in mind, we are all deviant in some way, all of us. And many of you mentioned some of your deviant behavior, traits, or beliefs in External Link, or in Blog 2. And about conformity, some of you did your External Link on the Stanley Milgram experiment. And many times we often say, well, you know what? I wouldn't have shocked that person. Or if Hitler asked me to electrocute someone, I wouldn't do it. But the fact is that 66% of us, more than half of us, would electrocute a stranger if someone told us to do it. And they wouldn't have to force us to either. It answers this critical question: what makes good people do bad things? Or why isn't the morals that we were born, that we were taught, enough when it comes time to act on them. And often the answer we'll give is, oh, well, those people are just evil. People do evil things because they're evil. But that isn't true. Sociology helps us to understand why good people do bad things. And we can't just answer it by saying, well, look at it. That's just the way it is. The sky is blue. That's what my mom taught me. Or, oh, well, those people are just evil. It never answers the questions. Sociology helps us to understand why people do the things they do, just like psychology does. And that's the point of research. I hope you have more of an understanding now of sociology and the way in which you view your world. If you have any questions about course content, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, I hope that you've enjoyed the course and have a great rest of the summer. Take care.